So, I think Sugo know exactly what they're doing with this post. It is their version of influencer marketing. Posting something clickbaity that they know people are going to respond to. It's got a lot of comments. It's got a lot of people riled up about it. I'm speaking about it, and my friends are speaking about it. But it raises a question. What is an influencer, and are they dog shit humans like people in this comment seem to think they are? Let's talk about that in today's episode of When Will I Learn? Let's get into it. Basically what an influencer is it's someone who uses their... It's really hard to describe it without using the word influence. It's basically someone who can change the buying habits of their audience. And you can use that to bring more people to your restaurant or to make more people buy your product. It's basically a marketing job, but it's a closed system marketing job. If you go to a marketing company as opposed to an influencer, they're going to use different methods to get in front of a targeted audience. They're going to use paid media, paid social. They're going to use things like AdSense to leverage Google to get in front of people and to make them aware of you and to make them want your product or your service. Where that's different for an influencer is what they're offering is their audience. They're offering their influence over their audience. Quite simply, an offshoot of marketing. So for everyone in these comments who are saying that these people are leeches, that they do nothing, they need to get a proper job, saying that they're not creative and they're just trying to get fame off the back of places like this restaurant, it's just bullshit. It is a job. If you do it well, it means working hard at it. The difference between this and a proper job is that if you do a bad job, you don't get paid. If you turn up to your 9 to 5 and you do a shit job all day, yeah, eventually you're going to get fired. But until you get fired, legally, the company basically has to pay you a wage. That's just the way things go. And that's why it's really hard to be someone who's an influencer. Before you kind of get like defensive watching this video, I'm not an influencer, so don't at me. I just know a lot of people who do things like this. A lot of people in marketing, a lot of people who use their creativity to help brands and services get awareness. I understand the back end of it. I understand the difficulties. And I understand how damaging something like this can be. So influencers span a wide demographic. You have your traditional influencers. I mean, the term's new, but the actual concept isn't. Celebrities have been doing this for years. It's interesting that the kind of people who are commenting on this post probably buy things because they see adverts on TV where their favourite footballer or their favourite TV star is advertising something. That is influencer marketing, just at a different scale. So that's the top kind of scale where you get the most money. There was a report recently that showed that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson commands the most money, just over $1.1 million per post. You're probably not going to be using him anytime soon if you're a small business looking for influencer marketing. Then you've got many segments in between, all the way down to the sort of micro and nano influencers. The interesting thing about the nano and the micro end of things is they are probably local. So if you're like something like a restaurant and you've got one location and it's in, say, the centre of Manchester, using a very small influencer that has a good engagement is probably going to net you more gain than using a bigger influencer with maybe 100,000 followers. If they've got 100,000 followers, there's a good chance they're not all based in your city. Even if they hear about your service, they're not going to care. So using someone with 5,000 followers who is based where you're based, who has a loyal following, who is going to listen to them, is going to net you more for probably a lot less money. That's called capitalism. So I think one of the things that I get from the comments on this post is that people are a little bit bitter about this. They see this as getting something for free. Now, they're not necessarily giving food for free because they're giving food in exchange for a service. And, you know, a £12 pasta dish for some marketing, if that marketing is successful, If they've got a dedicated audience and they bring in, say, 10 groups of people, you giving them a free meal, that's a pretty good deal when it comes to advertising. The thing that makes me think they understand exactly what they're doing is they put influencers and audience in quotes. And by doing this, they have basically said, we're not talking to actual influencers, we're talking to people who are saying they're influencers, who actually do just want something for nothing, because them sharing on their social is not really going to do anything. This is fair enough. From a business point of view, you need to weed out the people who aren't going to do a good job for you. And in the same way that any other supplier, be that your wine supplier or the person who builds your website, any of these, if they're doing a bad job, you're not going to want to work with them anymore. Now, Sugo have said that they don't use any outside influencer advertising, any outside social help, but I would really, really hope that they pay the person who does the social media for them, which kind of falls into the same bracket because they're using their social media reach to get people in there. So what needs to happen here? Well, I think we should turn to my friend Holly on this one.
So I wanted to address it as somebody who has worked in content creation for 10 years and as somebody who is a micro-influencer maybe. I'm not keen on the term, but there is a very real marketing mix which is called influencer marketing. And brands love to adopt it and use it to promote their businesses and their brands and their products.
They love it when it works well for them.
Consumers love to digest it, and content creators love to be in it. So influencer marketing is here, it's here to stay, and it is a very tangible and legitimate part of the marketing mix. And essentially I see it as an amazing extension of word of mouth marketing. It's organic, it's often, super genuine, super engaged, and it's a fantastic marketing. And when brands and influencers come together to collaborate, that's when the real magic can happen. And there's different ways of working together, but generally there's a paid sponsorship campaign or perhaps gifted in terms of influencer marketing. And I think the latter, the gifted, is the bit that causes the most contention from the consumer, from influencers and from brands, as we've seen this morning from Sugo Pasta Kitchen. Because if the collaboration isn't being approached in the right way, then there's so much room for it to get people's backs up, which is clearly what's happened. And I think education needed on both sides, from the brand and from the influencer making the approach, and with the audience that are consuming the content, to really understand what's going on with the collaboration. So what's likely to have happened in this particular case, which I'm just using as an example, it's not here to name and shame, which is unfortunately what I feel Sugo did this morning, which was kind of name and shame an industry in the wrong way, and probably an industry that's really helped them grow as well on social media and grow their business reach, which is the kind of ironic thing about a post like that this morning. But I think what has probably happened is they have been approached by content creators, by bloggers, for collaborations which may be exposure of their restaurant in return for a free dinner, which can appear frustrating if that approach has not been made in the right way, i.e. if that person has not introduced themselves adequately, their content, their work, what they do, how partnership might benefit both them and the brand. If they have not made the approach in the right way, then it can get brands' backs up, because it can be perceived as just looking for a freebie. They probably feel we're working really hard, trying to get through lockdown, trying to get through COVID, and somebody wants a free bowl of pasta. So I can totally see the frustration from a small business point of view. My gripe with posts like the one this morning from Sugo comes when I feel there's this generic call out of an industry that actually is full of really hard working, professional, dedicated people. It gives the industry a bad name, and actually a polite response to an approach that you don't want is all it takes. For brands, even if you have to write a little template for your DMs, just saying thank you, but no thank you, we don't work with influencer marketing. Thank you, but no thank you, this isn't the right time for us. But thanks for the approach, thanks for thinking of us. It's not hard to be nice. And just all those to shed light on the other side of the coin, as a influencer myself as a blogger, since lockdown, I have been approached by so many brands, so many small businesses asking for content for free. So equally, for me, that's really frustrating. If you are an influencer, blogger, content creator, then you need to be establishing relationships with brands and businesses before you approach.
So one of the really interesting points that Holly is touching upon there is maybe there's two problems here. There's two problems that are working against each other. You've got businesses that don't understand influencer marketing, and then you've got influencers who don't understand how to run a business. So they don't understand how to approach a brand, they don't understand how to come across as professional, and also demonstrate an ROI, a return on investment for the brand. You would think a free meal would be less controversial than asking to be paid. So I'm not an influencer, but I am someone who makes the kind of content that brands use to put on their own social media channels, on their own websites, and in their own marketing material. I don't go asking for a free meal. Often, me and whoever I'm working with, when we do a restaurant shoot, they'll say, do you want to eat this food at the end of it? It's always cold. It's always like, yeah, okay, just because we're starving. We're not there to eat some free food. We're there to do a job. We're there to provide a service to that brand, that restaurant. Am I worse than an influencer because I go in asking for money and I actually provide less of a service than most good influencers? Good influencer is providing photography, maybe video. They're providing copy to go along with that, and they're also providing the outlet for it. They're providing an audience, and their intent is that they're bringing that audience to you. Whereas me, who's probably getting paid more than a lot of these small influencers, is going in and saying, I will create some content for you. You're going to have to make the food. You're going to have to make sure it looks good enough that I can create something with it. And then you're going to have to do the job of sharing it, using it, and making sure that that gets shown to the right people to bring people in to you. And I'm pretty sure from what I can see, there's a lot of good looking photography on Sugo's channel. So if someone's spending some time on that, someone cares about it, some good videos on there as well. There's either money being spent or they're taking the piss out of someone who can do it and that is doing it for free. I don't know, obviously. I'm just saying that if they're so against paying for marketing, maybe they're not paying for content either. The other thing is a lot of these restaurants will pay companies like Manchester Confidential or Manchester's Finest, which are review sites, and they do promo work with companies, with restaurants. And what they do is they'll send a team, they'll get some food, maybe they pay for it, maybe they don't. I don't know what their exact working relationships are, but a lot of the time these kinds of companies will do this on a subscription basis. Those reviews that you read, on a Friday night when you're like, where do you want to go for tea? Should I look on Manchester's Finest and see what... Yeah? All right, this place looks like it does good pizza. There's a really good write-up of it. That write-up could, and I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying that write-up could have been part of a paid-for marketing plan that the restaurant pays for. They pay these guys, they come in, they do photos, some video, they do a bit of a write-up. Exactly the same thing as a smaller influencer would do, but they're doing it as like a marketing company who is probably seen as a group of people doing a proper job by the kind of people in the comments of this post. So it's interesting how people define a proper job. I mean, I've off on a tangent here, but I've struggled to make people believe what I do is a proper job. Even the times when I've been employing other people, when I've had premises where people come to work, I've still had a difficulty convincing people that my job is a proper job. So you're always going to run into that no matter what you do. There's no consensus on what a proper job actually is. The other thing that I think about when I see a situation like this is a B2B service, business to business service. In the same way that so they sell pasta, they must have someone who sells them flour. Now if X other company comes in and says, hey, we've got flour, we think you might like our flour, here's what the price is, let us know if you'd like to get involved, get into business with us, and we'll work together. Imagine if, when that happened, someone from Sugo jumps on Instagram and is like, we just want to out this flour company because they want to work with us and we don't want what they're selling. These are just people who are offering a service. It's not for you. Just Either respond politely, like Holly said, or don't respond at all. You don't necessarily need to do this clickbaity post. The other thing that Holly touched upon was the fact that this works the other way as well. I, again, not an influencer, but because I have a little bit of a following, I get a lot of offers for free products, usually free software or something shit that you definitely don't want. I get that offered to me if I'll do a video about it. That just doesn't make financial sense to me. Yes, I make a lot of these videos for nothing, but that's my choice. What I would say, and again, this is kind of something that Holly has touched upon, is this isn't how the industry is. If you are professional, 99% of the time, you will find that you are met with professionalism. If you treat this like a business and you treat this properly, you will probably be treated well. The small businesses that I've worked with on social media campaigns have always been really professional, always been really kind, always just been great people. I'm not saying that Sugo aren't. I can see exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to rile up conversation around this topic, which is great. That is viral marketing, organic marketing, social marketing, whatever you want to call it. That's exactly what they're doing. It's really funny that the people commenting on this are getting dragged into that without really realising that they are pawns in a grander scheme. The last thing that I kind of want to say, I worked in the restaurant industry. I worked behind the scenes, so I worked as a chef. I worked all levels in the kitchen. Have done some front of house work, and I think there's probably a bit of a Venn diagram where you've got, on one side, you've got the people who are saying that influencers are shit and they want stuff for free in these comments, and you've got the people who go into a restaurant intending to complain about something at the end and they want something for free. And I'm not saying everyone it falls into both of these camps, but I'm definitely saying there's a crossover, because some people do just want some shit for free. Honestly, some of the fucking Karens that are representing themselves in these comments are the exact kind of people that I saw when I was working in the restaurant industry. They want something for nothing. They don't have any respect for the people who work in that industry. And so them coming out in support just feels hollow to me. There's a lot more to say on this topic. I really recommend you go and follow Holly. I'll link her down below, and she's got a YouTube channel, so I'll link that there as well. If you check out Community Inspire Collaborate, which is a members group which provides support for people who are doing jobs like this within social media marketing. Check them out because there's some good advice there. Subscribe if you like what I do. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll just see you on the next one. Thank you very much.